Morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. I was thinking about that study. I've had the pleasure of joining the men's Bible study here. And last time we got together, Pastor Travis said we're going to talk about some trees today. And, it didn't sound like it was a big, exciting study. But as he got into it, he was talking about some significant trees. The first was the acacia tree. And it's believed that this is the tree that was talked about when talk about a tree that was planted by the waters. And he pointed out that we all think of a great big huge oak tree with a nice stream going by it. And in the video we were able to see that it's not a huge oak tree and there's no water. It's actually a desert, right? So they get water every now and then, and it's just a dry gulch. It's planted next to a dry gulch. Excuse me. And in this dry gulch, every once in a while, water comes, and it sucks up whatever it can get. And then if no water comes for a while, it goes dormant, and it waits till the next water comes. And it sucks it up again. So that really blew away my thinking about being a tree planted by water as opposed to the oak tree being planted by the water. If we look at our lives, we're not always going to be the oak tree planted by the water. Many times, we're next to the dry gulch. We're waiting for something. We're hoping for something. We're looking for something. And it kind of went along with what I was going to talk about today, so I just thought I would throw that extra little plug in there for the men's Bible study. Amen. All right. We're going to be in 1 Corinthians today. 1 Corinthians chapter 9 is where we're headed. Forgive me, I seem to have a little bit of scratch in my throat this morning. I was thinking about as I was preparing for this week, I was sitting doing Bible study, and I've got what they call a smartphone, and it randomly goes off for no apparent reason, it seems like. So it went off, and there was a thing on there from Google that said I had been at this place and they wanted me to rate it. I'd been at a restaurant and they wanted me to say if it was good. They rate it on a star rating. Many of you guys probably have had the opportunity to do the same thing. So, if you liked the food or you liked the service or you liked whatever the business was, you give it a 5-star, and if you don't like it, you can explain why, or you can give them 3 stars or 1 star or that kind of thing. And so I was happy with what I got, so I give them a 5-star rating, and then there's a place for me to put a comment. I didn't really have much to say, so I didn't comment, but so I entered that, and I was ready to go on about my business, and then it wanted to know about another place I'd been at, and then it wanted to know about another place I'd been at, and then it started asking me questions about places that I drove by, right? Like, I was stopped at the stoplight in front of Burger King, and they wanted to know how my experience was. Well, it was hot, and I was impatient, Amen. So anyhow, you know, I don't mind taking my time to give that little bit of information about a place because, you know, I appreciate being able to find out about a place before I get there, right? So, when I decided to open up my notes and now I lost my place. Can you believe that? So these places that I just drive by, and they ask, I never give them above a 3, just because I don't know a lot about them. But you know, praise the Lord. So there's another place that I've heard about that I'm looking forward to going, checking it out. It's got a 5-star rating. When you pull up in front of this place, there's these great big huge pearly gates. When the gates open up, you can see streets that are made out of gold. Gold so pure that it looks like glass. The buildings, mansions, are made out of gold. All of the decorations are fine jewels. And you can hear the most beautiful music, worshiping and praising God all day. It never gets dark there. There's no evil there. It's an amazing place. Many of you may have heard of this place called heaven. Doesn't it just put a smile on your face to think about it? Just to think about heaven, doesn't that put a smile on our face? We all talk about what it is that we're excited about, right? I have some little nieces and nephews. Whenever I come over to see them, they're excited about something. They all show me a toy, or they show me this, or they show me that. Or they tell me really long stories that I can't follow completely sometimes. But they're excited about it, right? And teenagers, if they are dating somebody, you know it. How? Because they constantly are talking about them, right? And grandmothers, remember the old days when a grandma said, let me show you a picture of my grandkids, and she would get the wallet. This great big roll of pictures would fall out. They're excited, right? They want to show you all the pictures and tell you all about it. I heard a grandma a couple weeks ago say, let me show you these videos of my kids. So times are changing, you know, but it's still the same, right? We're all talking about what we're excited about. If you're into sports, you're talking about sports. If you're into anything, whatever it is, you're talking about it. You're telling people about it all the time, aren't we? Jesus, in John chapter 14, said, in my Father's house are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. This morning I would like to talk about a little bit about God's provision, about how God provides for us, even though we don't see how it's possible sometimes, or sometimes it's unexpected ways. But God's provision is amazing, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it. I don't know what all of you think about when you think of God's provision. For me, the first thing that came to my mind, of course, was the Garden of Eden. Right? Everything was provided perfectly. Everything was in perfect unison. Everything was beautiful. Perfect. God's perfect provision. Next thing I thought about was Noah and the ark. right? Noah spent all those years building this ark. Can you imagine if God told us to build an ark in our backyard? What would the neighbors think? You know what I'm saying? How are we going to get this to pass code? Right? I'm sure it wasn't always easy for Noah building the ark. He's over there. What are you doing? Building a boat. For what? We live in the desert. Right? I'm sure he was mocked. I'm sure he was ridiculed. But he continued to build the boat. And then one day, there was a couple people, hey, can we get in there? Right? I'm sure that the boat just didn't float away and nobody said, hey, how about us? You know what? I didn't think you was crazy. I was going to help you, but I was busy that day. Right? Noah continued to build the boat. Because he listened to God, there was provision. Or maybe you think about the parting of the Red Sea. Moses walks up to the corner. There's an army behind him. He's got all these people with him. Now what? What are you going to do? You've just committed yourself to death. There's no way out. God opens the sea. There you go. There's a way. God brought him there. Why wouldn't he provide the way out? Right? God's provision is amazing, isn't it? We all talk about what we're excited about. I talk about what I'm mad about, right? If I'm having a bad day, everybody that I meet knows that I'm having a bad day. Any amens? No. This is church, you don't have to admit that. Right? When I'm mad, everybody knows why. Because I tell everybody, oh, that stupid doctor, or that stupid guy at the bank, or that stupid lawyer, or that stupid, right? It doesn't matter what the whole story is. What matters is my half of the story. And I'm right because you haven't heard the other half. And you're going to hear about it. Right? Because that's what I'm passionate about today. Right? There's some other stories about provision in the Bible. There's a ton of them, actually. Another one that I thought about was the widow woman. She had no money. Anybody ever been there? No money. Yeah. Amen to that one, huh? She had nothing. She had no money. Her husband had died. Her husband, when I was studying about this a little bit, I learned that there were in some cities like schools to teach people about the Bible. And this man was believed to be one of the students at this school. And so Elijah the prophet, who went around telling people about God, teaching at these schools, knew this man personally. So when the widow woman said, my husband that you know is dead, he knew her personally. He knew exactly what the situation was. My husband has died. I have 2 sons, and they're about to be sold into slavery because I can't afford to pay my debt. She was passionate about her situation, right? There was no way that she could pay her debt, and her sons that were supposed to take care of her when she got old were going to be sold into slavery to pay the debt that she could not pay. So what does Elijah do? Well, he says, go collect some jars from all your neighbors. And by the way, all the neighbors that she got the jars from, according to the law, were supposed to be taking care of her. She got the jars, and he says, now that little bit of oil that you have in your house, lock yourself in your house with your sons and fill those jars. She went inside, she started pouring that little dab of oil, and it never ran out until she filled the last one. They said, now go sell that oil to your neighbors. God's provision. There is no way that she could have made it except for God's provision. God had made provision for her before when he said that the community was supposed to take care of the widows, but the community wasn't listening. So God provided in a different way. Amen? Okay, now in 1 Corinthians, you probably all think I forgot about it, but I'm still there. Did you forget? Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7 is where we're going to start, just so we can get some background. It says, who at any time serves as a soldier at his own expense? Who plants a vineyard and does not eat of the fruit of it? Or who tends a flock and does not use the milk of the flock? God's provision, right? It's talking about provision. If you join the military, they provide everything that you need, right? Nobody's going to sign up to be a sailor and have to bring their own boat, right? It's all provided. If you take care of the land, if you grow the crops, or if you take care of the animals, then you eat from that land, right? You get that milk or you get that fruit. Okay, it says in verse 8, I'm not speaking these things according to human judgment, am I? Or does not the law also say these things? For it is written in the law of Moses, you shall not muzzle the ox while he is threshing. God is not concerned about oxen, is he? Aren't we more important than oxen? Isn't a community of believers more important to God than an ox? Or is he speaking altogether for our sake? Yes, for our sake it was written, because the plowman ought to plow in hope, and the thresher to thresher in hope of sharing the crops. If we sow spiritual things in you, is it too much if we should reap material things from you? So the Corinthian church had been blessed by receiving the gospel message, but they were not helping to support financially Paul in his ministry, which can be a rough thing if you're traveling in a full-time ministry. You need some funds, right? So they were not helping him out. And verse 12, if others share the right over you, do we not more nevertheless? We did not use this right, but we endured all things that we may cause no hindrance to the gospel of Christ. Do you not know that those who perform sacred services eat the food of the temple, and those who attend regularly to the altar have their share with the altar? So also the Lord directed those who proclaim the gospel to get their living from the gospel. Okay, so in the Corinthian community in Corinth, there was a lot of teachers, right? Some of them Christian teachers, some of them non-Christian teachers, pagans, some, I'm sure from everything that we could think of was there. And all of them were being supported by this community. Okay, whether they were Christian or non-Christian, pagans or whatever, this community was supporting them. But for some reason, they had chose not to support Paul. Paul says, we're worthy of being supported by this community. But he goes on to say that we don't require it, right? I don't need your money, but it would have been nice if you would have offered it, because I came there to help you. And in verse 1, chapter 9, the last sentence says, "Are you not my work in the Lord?" Paul was the one that established this church there in Corinth. He brought them the message of salvation. He changed their lives. He changed their eternal destination. But yet they did not regard him worthy of receiving any financial reimbursement. So he said, I don't need your money. I'm not saying this because I need your money. I'm saying this because you need to think about the situation as a whole. And then if we drop down to verse 19. It says, "For though I am free from all men, I have made myself a slave to all, that I might win the more. And to the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might win Jews. To those who are under the law, as under the law, though not being myself under the law, that I might win those who are under the law." So Paul here is talking about his knowledge and understanding of the community as a whole, right? We've got Jews, we've got Gentiles, we've got all these different backgrounds, and he has a knowledge and he has an understanding of that. So what he's trying to say is he's willing to go and meet people where they're at. Okay, the Gentiles that have no understanding of God, he's willing to go and explain who God is to them. The Jews who have knowledge of God, but have no knowledge of Christ or have not accepted Christ, he goes and meets them where they're at, and he explains to them the glorious message of salvation through Christ Jesus. He says, I do this voluntarily in verse 17. If I do this voluntarily, I have a reward. But if against my will, I have a stewardship entrusted to me. That always reminds me, every time I read it, of Jeremiah, who was locked in prison because he continued to tell people what God said. God said, change. They didn't want to change. Right? So he was thrown into prison, and he continued to speak while he was in prison. And he finally was at the point he wanted to completely just stop. I don't want to talk about it anymore. He said, but I can't stop because this word is like fire in my bones. Right? Becomes burning fire shut in my bones, and I cannot hold it in. There's no way that Jeremiah could stop preaching the gospel because because it meant something to him. Right? He was compelled from the inside, not from the outside. I come here this morning because you all want to hear the word. You're here. All the people outside of here don't want to hear. They're not here. It doesn't hurt me in any way, shape, or form to tell all of you that God is good, that God will change your life, that God offers forgiveness to anybody. But out there, it might cost me something. Out there, there's a possibility that somebody's going to disagree with that. Not everybody agrees that God is good. Not everybody believes that Jesus is the Messiah. Not everybody believes that Jesus is the only way to heaven. Right? There's a whole ton of people that think you can get to heaven any way you want. Follow any one of these religions, just be good enough, and you can get to heaven. But the Bible tells us that Jesus is the only way to get to the heaven because of his death on the cross. Do we talk about that in our day-to-day lives? When we tell people what we're excited about, does that come up ever in our conversations? Do we talk about Jesus? Do we talk about how he lived as a sinless man? If you say that he never sinned, what's the first thing that everybody says? Nobody can do that. Right? He was a sinless man. He was born of a virgin. That certainly is a rough discussion, isn't it? Born of a virgin. How could that happen? I've been able to be a part of the Bible study here in the mornings, and we've been discussing this, sharing our faith with other people over the last couple of weeks. And one of the things that was brought out in our study is there's so many things that people outside of Christianity know a little bit about that they don't want to have anything to do with it. Right? Because this church says this and this church says that, and they don't come together, or this church believes this and this church believes that. And it can be frustrating and exhausting trying to explain the truth to everybody who have heard so many false things for so long. And I discovered, when I was beginning out in my faith, the best way for me to learn how to be a perfect Christian is to ask non-Christians. Because they all have it all figured out. Right? If you're a Christian, you're supposed to dress like this. You're supposed to talk like this. You're supposed to not watch this stuff. You're supposed to not play cards. You're supposed to, I forget what everything they thought of. I mean, you couldn't do nothing. You could not do nothing without somebody saying every day, well, I thought you was a Christian. The biggest one I liked was that the belief that Christians are supposed to give non-Christians everything they got for some reason. Right? You need $10. I got $10 in my pocket. I'm supposed to just give it to you. Why? Well, I don't know why. That's what Christians do. So if you don't give the $10, you're not a Christian. I never found that in the Bible. The Bible doesn't tell me to give $10 to the guy walking down the street that's too lazy to work. The Bible did tell me to help my brother. If my brother here needs $10, I give you the $10 I got. Right? We're supposed to take care of each other. That's what the Bible teaches us. So there's a lot of misconception about Christians, what Christianity really is. And even within Christianity, there's a lot of confusion. So a lot of times, we just kind of give up. We stop talking about our faith. We stop being excited about what God is doing in our lives. You know, there's nothing more exciting than being around a new Christian, right? Somebody that's just saved, the old expression, somebody just got off the boat, right? They're walking around, right? There, you say anything about Jesus, yeah! Right? Yeah! Where does that go? I heard one person talk about when he had first become a Christian and he was going to every Bible study he could go to and going to church on Sunday twice and everything he could do to get into the Word because he was just on fire. He wanted to know. He wanted to see. He wanted to be able to share with others the good news that somebody had shared with him. And it wasn't here, by the way. And so he was in Bible study for a few weeks, and somebody finally says to him, well, your excitement will wear out after a while. You know, because he wanted to know why everybody wasn't so excited. So the answer was, well, your excitement is going to run out after a while. Now, yeah, you're right. We should be on fire. Yeah, you're right. We should change. Yeah, you're right. What happened? No. You'll get over it. Should we ever get over it? Shouldn't this be the biggest thing in our life? Shouldn't this be the most exciting thing in our life? To be a Christian? I can tell you all about the Red Wings during the Red Wings season, as short as it was. Amen. But did I tell anybody about Jesus during the Red Wings season? Do I get excited when I'm reading my Bible like I get when I watch Red Wings and practically jump out of the chair? Yeah! Wake up everybody that's sleeping. I mean, I'm not a big excitement type of a person. You know, I don't run around yelling and dancing and, you know, I'm just low-key, just enjoy life moment by moment kind of a guy. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. But I'm not a kind of person. But during the Red Wings, oh, I get excited. Not always. Sometimes. I get on fire. Start yelling and screaming. My daughter came from upstairs, her room's above the living room last year. She comes downstairs and says, "What's the matter?" Well, they just lost. Do we have that kind of excitement in our lives? Paul goes on to talk about athletes in 1 Corinthians. He says, verse 24, do you know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win. And everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control in all things. They then do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. So, perfect timing, he's talking about sports. That's what I was just talking about. Good job, Paul. So, when we're part of a sport, we have to train every day, right? There's running has seemed to become rather fashionable and cool, and everybody's running these days. There's all kinds of marathons. In order to run a marathon, you have to practice every day, right? You gotta get out there and run every day, because if you don't run every day, you won't be ready. And you have to watch what you eat. Their diet is probably a little bit different than my diet. Just guessing, I don't know. Okay, their physique is a little bit different than some of my physique, because you can't carry all this through a marathon. I guarantee it. Well, maybe you could, but I can't. Right? No matter what you do in the physical realm, any sport, you have to practice. You have to get yourself in shape. I heard a bull rider one time said that he does 2,000 crunches every day before breakfast. 2,000 crunches, and I mean, he's won the world several times, so it works, obviously, right? But I can't do 2,000 crunches in a year. I can't, I do one sit-up every morning to get up. I sit up to get out of bed, right? And if it's a good day, I'll go take a nap and I'll do another one. Or I get up a second time, but I'm not ready to run a marathon. I'm not ready to play any sport except for maybe horseshoes, if that's considered a sport. Because I'm not in shape. I haven't prepared myself. And it's the same way spiritually. If we don't prepare ourselves, if we don't prepare ourselves every day to be ready to share the gospel, then when the time comes, we're not ready to share the gospel because we're not prepared. God can use all of us equally. No man is any different than any other man living today, as far as God's concerned. I mean, sure, there might be places that you can go and witness that you would be more accepted than if I went there and tried to witness to other people. And likewise, there might be places that I could go and witness that you might not be as accepted. There's always a uniqueness to every person. But that doesn't mean that any one person is greater than or less than, right? We all listen to the preacher every week, but that doesn't mean that he's greater than any one person sitting in the congregation. It doesn't mean that he's the only one that has the obligation to go out and win souls. Right? That's that job, that's the opportunity of every person here. Every person sitting in every church today has the opportunity, not the obligation, the opportunity to go and tell somebody else about the greatest gift you ever received. We all have the opportunity to change somebody else's life. There are a lot of people that are quite eloquent with their words. But James said that Elijah was a man with a nature like ours. And he prayed fervently that it might not rain, and it did not rain for 3 years and 6 months. A man with a nature just like mine prayed that it would not rain, and it did not rain for 3 years and 6 months. He prayed again. The heavens opened up. A man with a nature just like each of you. Just like us. Just a normal, everyday, average Joe prayed, and God answered his prayer. And he prayed again, and God answered his prayer again. We all have that opportunity. We're all blessed in the same way that Elijah was blessed. Romans 10:9, if you want to go over there. Romans chapter 10, verse 9 says, if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord, believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. It says in Revelation that the devil is defeated by our testimonies and by the blood of the Lamb. We have the opportunity to tell everybody that if they confess with their mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in their hearts that God raised him from the dead, if they believe that Jesus is above all, including death, they can be saved. They can receive salvation, and they can be on this journey with you. Our testimonies. There's a lot of talk these days about other religions kind of taking over America, other beliefs taking over America. And they are, without a doubt, taking over America, these thoughts and beliefs in other religions. But the only reason is they're talking about what they believe in. You have the opportunity to spend some time with a Muslim. They believe that their faith is the one true and only way. Just like you believe that your faith is the one true and only way. And they talk about it. They tell everybody. Right? If you believe about some of the other things that are going on in America, people talk about them. It doesn't mean they're right. It's just that they're the ones talking. All across America, there are churches, not so different than this one, half empty, wondering why everybody's becoming a Muslim. The answer is quite simple. We don't share our faith. If people don't know about the goodness of God, how are they ever going to decide to be a Christian? I believe that Each of us are given an opportunity frequently to share our faith. I want to challenge everybody today to be ready when that time comes, so that you can share your faith to prevent one more person from going in the wrong direction, to prevent one more person from not knowing the truth, to prevent one more person from not knowing Jesus. How awful would that be if our friends and neighbors never heard about Jesus and the salvation that he brings? Thank you for letting me share.